Did King Edmund really die by the blood eagle? Alright, let's talk about it. Because the Vikings, my friends, were surrounded by so many dark stories. Some true, some exaggerated, and some completely invented. People say they killed children, performed human sacrifices, burned churches for fun, and tortured their enemies in ways that don't even sound human. But today, we're digging into something darker. Did they really execute King Edmund with the blood eagle? Before we get into the crime scene, let's break a few Viking legends. Some travelers, like Ibn Fadlan, described real human sacrifice, and archaeologists found graves with decapitated bodies. So yes, sometimes it happened. But enemies exaggerated a lot. Everyone wanted to paint Vikings as demons, not human beings. Burning monasteries? Yes, it's recorded. But monks were the victims, so of course they wrote the worst version possible. Did Vikings love gold? Absolutely. But did they burn everything every time? Not really. And let's be honest, Vikings weren't only known for raiding. They were also accused of taking slaves and selling them across Europe, raiding coastal towns at night and disappearing before sunrise, executing traitors with brutal public punishments, forcing defeated rulers to pay huge tribute to avoid complete destruction, using psychological warfare, burning a few buildings just to terrify entire kingdoms. Were they saints? No. Were they the only violent ones? Also no. Medieval Europe was brutal for everyone. Now, let's get to the big question. CSI Vikings, Blood Eagle Investigation. If we want to know whether King Edmund died by the blood eagle, we need to treat this like a real investigation. First question, who wrote the story? It wasn't a Viking, it wasn't a soldier, and it definitely wasn't someone who saw the execution. It was a monk named Abbo of Fleury, writing the entire tale 100 years after Edmund died. Why would a monk, 100 years later, describe a torture scene so dramatic? Here's the twist. At that time, the church needed a perfect martyr, a holy king brutally murdered by pagans, to unite Christian England and strengthen the political power of the church. And who were the church's enemies? The Vikings. So the legendary story of Edmund being tied to a tree, pierced with dozens of arrows, and then executed in a ritualistic blood eagle style, was the perfect narrative. But when modern researchers examined the bones believed to be Edmund's, they found no arrow marks, no cut marks, no trauma matching blood eagle, no evidence of ritual torture at all. Nothing. So what are we left with? A story written a century later, by someone who wasn't there, with zero physical evidence, created during political and religious conflict, and conveniently making one side holy and the other monstrous. Suspicious? Very. Some historians think the whole thing was a crafted myth to create a saint and a villain. Others say, yes, the Vikings killed him, but the dramatic torture details were added later to make England unite against a common enemy. And when it comes to Vikings, truth and myth are always mixed. Were they monsters? Sometimes. Were they only killers? No. They were farmers, traders, sailors, explorers, and kings. And trust me, there's a lot more to talk about. So if you want more dark Viking stories, investigations, and brutal history that actually makes sense, subscribe, because this is just the beginning.